Something really exciting happened. We have a new contestant in the arena of truly usable and great, completely free, full orchestral plugins and VSTs. It's from Sonoscore's The Orchestra Elements, which in its product range comes in at €0, so it's completely free and is your entry point to experience the sound, but also the features of the Orchestra Elements. So today we're going to go through the interface, have a look at it, figure out its sound, and establish whether we have a new champion in the ring of free orchestras. My name is Samuel, and this channel is all about orchestral composition and cinematic music production. And now I'll let the jingle roll and then we jump right into it. So the library we're talking about today is produced by Sonoscore, and Sonoscore is a very well-known and acclaimed sample library producer. They've got big and very popular libraries. For instance, you might know Action Strikes and Action Strings, which come with the bigger packages from Native Instruments Kontakt Player, and among others, they also have an orchestral range, which is simply called The Orchestra, and it comes in different tiers or different tiers. So the absolute entry tier that we're talking about today is obviously the Orchestra Elements, which is completely free and comes with some limitations. And then there's also upgrade path with the Orchestra Essentials, the Orchestra, and the Orchestra Complete. All three of them are on sale right now, but I cannot tell you, I don't want to judge on the prices because I cannot review all of the orchestra. I'll just tell you my impressions of the free orchestra in this video. And in particular, in the free orchestra, what you get is you get a boiled down selection of instruments, including strings, brass, and woodwinds, but you don't have percussions. You get a bunch of orchestral presets that are highly useful, and then you also get to play around and access the ensemble engine, which is actually really great for creating kind of orchestral patterns and orchestral atmospheres that you might want to use in your scores to kind of get an orchestral foundation for your score, if that makes sense. So we're going to look at those interfaces, we're going to look at the features, and I'm going to tell you my opinion about the sound in particular, which I think is one of the most important things, and also the limitations. And I do want to show you how I did set up the Orchestra Elements in my DAW to get, I believe, the most control out of it, in the sense that I end up having a real setup where I get full control of each of the instruments and all of the articulations, which is what I like best for my type of working, where I like to score in the DAW and not in the engine. But I guess so you can get the best of two worlds. So now let's have a look in the DAW. When you open up the orchestra, it presents itself like so. Unfortunately, always when you open it up, it will kind of tell you, hey, maybe you want to purchase the full version, and that's fine. You know what? That's absolutely okay. Okay, so when you open it up for the first time, it comes loaded with the string full sustain, which looks like this and sounds like this. And you can control the dynamics with the modulation wheel. That's kind of usual. Very lush sound, very nice, very warm. So that's the strings. Now you get the preset browser when you click on this strings full sustain. That's the preset or the patch that we have loaded. If you click in here, you get this kind of overly complicated browser, overly complicated for the purpose of this particular library. I think if you have the full library, then it makes a lot of sense. And what you can see is that you get a selection of strings sustain, strings tremolo, strings marcato, strings staccato. Now, I want to be honest, that's a very fine selection of articulations for a free library. It is lacking the pizzicato, which you might find in other libraries, but the marcato is a real treat having that. I mean, the marcato is really, really nice. Then you have tremolo, obviously. You have staccatos. Whatever. Woodwinds, full sustain. Very nice. Staccato woodwinds, brass, full sustain, and brass staccato. Now, this is kind of the orchestral family, and in the string section you'll get violin 1, violin 2, viola, cello, and double basses, which is a complete set. There's nothing missing in here. For the woodwinds, you get a basic but also very complete set. You get flute, clarinet, oboe, and bassoon. And for the brass, that's a little bit of a disappointment. In my personal opinion, you get trumpets, horns, and trombones, but you don't get a tuba. For the strings, you get tremolo, marcato, staccato, and for woodwinds and brass, you just get sustains and staccato. And then there are some orchestral combinations like high sustain. If you load this up, you get flute, clarinet, horn, violin 1, viola. Yeah, so very beautiful sound. Then what we have is we have a set where they're actually making use of their engine. So before we move into that, what I would like to show you is usually, so if you get a full version, you could click on the flute staccato and then select a different instrument in here. Okay, but that's not possible with this free Elements version. So basically that's one of the limitations, that you cannot change the slots in the preset. That also means that if I now go up to the string full sustain, for instance, I would not be able to say violin 1, violin 2 in sustains, but the viola please as, I don't know, marcato or something like that. Doesn't work, okay? So I cannot combine them. What I can do, and that will come in quite handy, is I can empty a slot. Then I cannot repopulate it. So right now I remove the double basses and they're gone. And the other thing I can do is I can set the octave that will be played. So I can put the cello, for instance, an octave down, and you instantly hear how this octave doubling works. So one thing I could do for the cello is empty the slot. For the viola, empty the slot, and now turn the violin 1 an octave up. And you instantly get this famous octave double sound, right? String basic eighths, okay? This is a patch where the engine slot is also used. So here you can see the cello and the basses are turned 1 octave down. And then we're making use of engine slots. There's arpeggiator 1, arpeggiator 2, arpeggiator 3. Now, if I play a chord, let's say F major, in somewhere in this green range on the keyboard, that's what I get. So how does that work? If I go to the engine page, what happens is that I can program each arpeggiator in here individually to do different things. So arpeggiator 1, 2, and 3 now all have a rate of 1/8. Okay, so they will be repeating notes in the rhythm of an eighth. And they're going to do that with velocity as prescribed on the rhythm here, okay? And the note order is all notes, which in this case is a lie because arpeggiator 3 will play the lowest note only. But arpeggiator 2 does not have a specific note selection, so it's going to play the whole chord. Now I can do something different with that as well. There's up and down, down and up, zigzag up, down, zigzag up, down. Let's do that. And you see that I get a different pattern in the instruments that are set to arpeggiator 2, which is the violas. Let's put the violin 2 also in the arpeggiator 2. Okay, and maybe move the violin 2 an octave up. And you see how you can play around creating different sounds. Okay, and then you can do things like you can transpose the pattern. You can make it repeat the arpeggiation pattern an octave up afterwards. So it'll go or an octave down. So you get the idea. You have a lot of control in it. All the time I'm just playing these free notes. You can double time the arpeggiator. You can half time it. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff you can do with it, and you can basically create arbitrary patterns. And then there is actually even more stuff, like these are basic things like basic eights and basic triplets or chasing 16ths. It's really cool. Okay, or woodwinds basic triplets. Okay, but then there's also this more creative stuff like burning skies. For the sustains in here, they're using envelopes, envelope 1 and envelope 2, and envelope work similar to the arpeggiator, but it is an envelope like you have here a swell. Okay, that's what it does on a length of 4 bars and no specific note selection. So it's going to play all notes. And that allows you to create these super cool orchestral sounds right out of the box, okay? So that's Burning Skies, then Man of War. That was one I believe I liked. Let's listen to that. Yeah, so you get the idea. That's the kind of spooky stuff you can do, and you can obviously then take all of this, which is pre-selected, like, hey, we have horn marcatos in here. Nice. So you can use the arpeggiator. Wait, I can be even smarter. And now that's how I want to show you how I set up the orchestra for my particular purpose. Hey, wait, if there's a horn marcato in here, does that mean I actually get to play a horn marcato? Because if I put this on none, and I go here and empty this slot, 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 I should have now just a horn marcato, right? And that's exactly the case, okay? So that's one way to do it. Another way, and that's the tab we haven't looked at yet, is the mixer. Okay, so in the mixer, what I could have done is I just could have reduced the volume all of these instruments to 0. Okay, you can set here the individual amount of reverb, like so you can position instruments more to the front or more to the back. And here you have a bunch of reverbs like small hall. What I liked is I liked recording stage 1. It's fairly dry, and it still allows me to put on my own reverb afterwards. Building an empire. Really, really cool sounds. Or driving force. You see that you don't only have woods, brass, and strings, you also have keys and harps in the Hidden Sanctuary. So that's how I got my plucked harp. Currently it has an arpeggiator. Let's go to the mixer and turn everything down except for the harp. Okay. And if I now play something, very nice. But if I remove the arpeggiator, I can actually just play a harp. And you also do have a choir. Now, the choir you get is very limited, but it's really beautiful. It's this choir female O sustain. So let's again remove everything except the choir to just listen to the choir. And it's now using an envelope. Okay, we can have a look at the envelope too, what it does. Not much, to be honest. Great. It's a lovely choir. And if you're enjoying this review of a free orchestra, you might want to check out my other videos that I have on free orchestras. I'm going to link them somewhere up here. And also, by the way, if you think that I should make a big shootout between the 3 big free orchestras that there are on the market, let me know in the comments. And if enough people tell me I should do it, then I'll do it, and I'll make a detailed shootout between the 3 of them to figure out which one is the best free orchestra for your use case. Look, I set up Violins 1 and I extracted the long, the tremolo, the marcato, and the staccato articulations every single time from this preset, which is the full sustain or the full marcato preset, etc. Just went to the mixer and turned everything down with the exception of the violins. I could just as easily also just empty the slot of the other ones. This is probably better because it's not going to have the samples loaded in there. So probably this is the better setup. And I wrote a little orchestral piece because that's what I do. If I want to figure out how an orchestra sounds, I write a little demo cue. So we're going to play through the demo cue in a second. One of the first things I did after separating all of the strings like so is I created my own little ostinato, which sounds like this. Cool. Okay, for the woodwinds. Look, same strategy, but you only get longs and shorts for flutes, clarinets, oboes, and bassoons. And maybe what I want to play to you is this little woodwind run, and then the oboes giving some texture. Oh yeah, that's the bassoons. Then we have trumpets, which sound fantastic. Great sound. Then we have horns, also great sound. I really like the shorts on the horns. And trombones, I think I only used the shorts of the trombones because I liked them to give me some rhythm underneath. So I'm using them basically rhythmically. Okay, cool. Then choir, you've already heard, and the lovely, lovely harp, you've also already heard briefly. Before we listen to the demo piece end to end, I'd like to know if you enjoyed this kind of video and if you found this really interesting. And if that's the case, please smash the like button. Like so you help me reach more people like you who might be interested in this type of video, and you let me know that you enjoy this type of video, so I'm going to make more of them. That's basically the deal. So I'm really curious. I'd really like you to tell me in the comments what you think about the orchestral sound of this new free orchestra. Now, Sonoscore, big thank you. I think this is a fantastic addition and a fantastic new champion in the ring. Is it the best free orchestra? You let me know what you think. The engine is fantastic. It's just not my style of working, and that's perfectly fine. But if you like to have out-of-the-box orchestra sounds that really give you already a great foundation for your scores, then the engine might be just what you're looking for in the Sonoscore orchestra. So you judge for yourself. I think it's great. Now that's all for today. I hope you really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you around next week and keep creating.